You know, one question I hate is when people ask, so tell me about you.
Climbing out the back door, didn't leave a mark. No one knows it's you, Miss Jackson. Found another victim, but no one's gonna find Miss Jackson, Jackson, Jackson. You put a sour little flavor in my mouth now. You move in circles, hoping no one's gonna find out. But we're so lucky, kiss the ring and let 'em bow down. Looking for the time of your life, gonna find out. A pretty picture, but the scenery is so loud. A face like heaven, catching lighting in your nightgown. But back away from the water, babe, you might drown. The party isn't over tonight. Hey, why will you be waking up tomorrow morning? Out the back door, goddamn, but I love her anyway. I love her anyway. I love her anyway. Out the back door, goddamn, but I love her anyway. Miss Jackson, are you nasty? Miss Jackson, Miss Jackson, are you nasty? Miss Jackson, Miss Jackson, are you nasty? Are you nasty? I love her anyway. Why will you be waking up tomorrow morning? Out the back door, goddamn, but I love her anyway.
Okay, so I've had to resort to using the mic because apparently this is the third time I've tried to record this video. But anyways, so the point of this video is that our generation, well, not necessarily mine, but this generation is doing really horrible in this skill or art of conversation making, conversation start, whatever it is. We're doing really bad at conversing with each other. Yes, conversing is the word. It is not conversating. Please mark that in your dictionaries. Anyways, the point is, people are having these, like, okay, they're talking about dead conversations. There's nothing to talk about. Oh, hey, how are you? What are you doing? Nothing. And then the conversation just dies right there. There's an issue. First issue is, what do you want? What is it that you want? Why are you initiating the conversation? What is the purpose behind this? Is it nothing else because you're bored, you have nothing else to do? Oh, you just want to talk to me? Or you want to get to know me, want to know who I am and what I'm about? Okay? Whatever it is, know this before you start a conversation with somebody. It sounds so simplistic and even stupid. How would you not know this? Or why do you want to stop thinking about this? Because you need to know what it is that was driving you to make this conversation with somebody. Because you kind of need to know. Otherwise, you're going to have the same sink or sail type conversation. Either it's going to pick up miraculously or it's just going to sink because neither one of you are in the mood to have a conversation or already know what you want to have a conversation about. You have to come in with a topic of discussion, a reason for the topic of discussion. That's one thing. Number two, when you're initiating this conversation, when you're making this conversation, you need to ask open-ended questions where it's not just yes, no, nothing, I don't know type answers. You need to ask questions where it require a paragraph to an essay, whatever, at least a sentence. A full-blown sentence, maybe 2 sentences at least of an answer. You can't just like ask a question and then yes, it's a sufficient enough answer. Now, side note, if they're answering you with 1 word, 2 word, quick short answers anyway, after you asking these open-ended questions that really require some thought behind it, maybe you should just cut the conversation, cut your losses, just go about your business. Because obviously, either they don't know what to tell you or how to tell you, or they just don't want to take your job. So just maybe just think that, okay, well, obviously I can see when you're busy, where you're occupied of some sort, and you don't want to have this conversation. We can talk about it later, or you can hit me up when you feel like it, you know. But anyways, off the side note, when you ask these questions, don't just get a paragraph. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, and then end it. You need to, especially if you're the one who initiated the conversation, you need to be able to take this. First of all, listen to what they're saying. Don't just hear them like, oh, okay, and then shoot off another question. This is not an interview. This is a conversation. You do not ask 50 million questions back to back. You're not interviewing them for a job or a position. You're having a conversation with this person. Please understand this. Some people really don't. I don't understand how it's so difficult to understand it. But anyways, listen to what they said. You ask them like questions like, so what did you do today? That's a pretty good question to start off with something, because usually you have more than, oh, I didn't do anything today. But why didn't you do something today? What were you doing the day before where you didn't want to do anything today? You know, there's the answer like that. That's not a topic. But if they legitimately give you an answer like, oh, I walked my dog and then I made lunch for my elderly grandfather and I did some homework or some studying for some, take one or two of those and then elaborate, expound, ask another question. And when they give you an answer, tell them something about yourself that relates to that, even if you have nothing that relates to that. Tell them something like, oh, well, I've never been in that situation, so how do you handle such thing? Engage in conversation, engage in it, tap into their intellect, and hear. What do they think? What is their thought process? This should interest you if you're interested in that person. Maybe that's just me, being the whole psychology major or whatever, I don't know. But this is how you make conversation and make it worthwhile, useful, and meaningful. Have a conversation. Anyway, so you take a piece of that, they answer the question, you apply some part of yourself to that question, and then you keep elaborating on it. Maybe let them ask a question about you. Give them a piece of information that seems interesting enough to where they're like, oh, well, what do you think about this? Oh, well, how would you do this? Or what about you? And then you go back and forth, because if you do it right, it's going to go from topic to topic to topic and come back to the main question and go from topic to topic again, to where you or the other person has to literally find a stopping point to shut up and go on and do something else, because you've been on the phone or on Facebook or Twitter or whatever site people get on nowadays, and get off of that and stop, talking for a while, because you've been talking all day, or at least for the past 3 hours. That is the point of a conversation. That's the art of a conversation, is to make it start and continue, pause, start and continue. That it seems pretty simple. Maybe that's just me. It shouldn't be that hard, as some people are making it out. Like, why are these conversations not interesting, or whatever the case is. But that's my spiel on that. If you want to know more, feel free to ask me. Tweet me, Facebook, whatever. Don't give up my Facebook. But anyways, if you're on my Twitter, you see my Facebook page, and if you're on my Instagram, you see my YouTube page. It's all connected somehow. But anyways, that's my spiel for today. Happy Sunday, everybody. Congrats to the 49ers for pulling out that win. Go Saints, because my Texans didn't make it. But anyways, that's my spiel for today, and y'all have a great day.